Both boxing and MMA are very famous and widely played sports. Combat sports are generally not safe to play, and the mentioned sports are no different.
Oh, no! One punch knockdown! What a shot by the young star!
But which of the two is more dangerous and why? This has been a long-going debate between martial art enthusiasts, and today we're going to help you decide which sport is more dangerous and why. So which sport is more dangerous, boxing or MMA?
Now look at this. This is where it gets crazy. Let's take another look here. Here's the knee. Watch this. Clay ducks. Boom! And Brian perfectly times it.
Well, generally, boxing is considered more dangerous because boxers are more likely to sustain repeated blows to the head. Whereas in martial arts, even when the fighters take part in more of a physical fight, they aren't life-threatening ones. In boxing, though, the goal is to land a punch or blow to the body or head, which has a greater chance of causing a long-lasting or more dangerous injury. Boxing matches often cause concussions and head injuries to the fighters when the games become too extreme, and this is where the game becomes life-threatening. Well, generally speaking, both these sports have a lot of danger attached to them, and there's always a risk of injury.
And look at, oh, that's it! That left hand, he was waiting!
Knock Silva down!
Oh my goodness!
And out!
Wow!
The most important thing a new boxer or MMA fighter needs to do is to practice and make sure they're ready to take a step towards the actual match before they do. In order to play safe, it's necessary to first learn the rules and ways to defend oneself before one takes part in the more dangerous games to minimize the chance of any life-threatening injury. Knockdowns in MMA versus boxing. There are a number of reasons why boxing is dangerous, and even more so than MMA, and one of them is that it has 10 counts for a knockdown. When you're boxing, if you knock your opponent down, the ref will first count to 10, and you have to get back up within that time. Due to this rule, fighters will take the blow, get up, and are ready to fight again. And if they end up getting knocked down again, and the same thing happens once again, the fighter takes a lot of damage, which may even affect the brain. On the other hand, there are no knockdowns in martial arts. For instance, if a UFC player is taken down, they won't be given a chance to get up again in most cases. There is no countdown, and the damaging blows are reduced to only one time. So these players don't normally experience any kind of brain injury. Fight duration. The duration of the fight is another reason why boxing is more dangerous than martial arts. Professional fighters generally fight for a longer duration in the game than other MMA fights. In boxing, championship fights consist of 12 3-minute rounds with a 1-minute break, so the whole game ends up being around 47 minutes long. Whereas in an MMA championship fight, the Ultimate Fighter fight is 5-minute rounds with a rest of 1 minute in between rounds. The match lasts only for a total of 29 minutes, so it's obvious that the longer the fight is, the more chances of getting injured there'll be. Hence, boxing is considered more dangerous. Ferocity of the opponents. How bad you're going to get hit depends on the skill of your opponent. If you're facing a rookie, your chances are slim, whereas facing a legend might just get you killed. Thing is, the term experience doesn't really carry the same meaning in boxing and MMA fights. Boxers rely on their skills to land matches. MMA fighters, however, depend on their trash talk. The more fame you can gain, the bigger fights you'll land. This means that the most well-known and, as a result, experienced player isn't necessarily the best. You could be looking at the MMA champion, and chances are he might not actually be the most skilled MMA fighter. In boxing, however, this isn't the case, since the ones at the top are there because of their skill, not their fame, or how good their trash talk is. One of, if not the biggest name in MMA fighting, is Conor McGregor. For example, he's lost 6 of the 28 professional fights he's done. He was beaten by Khabib Nurmagomedov, a fighter with only 29 total fights. Now he's won all of those fights, but still his fame was way less than Conor McGregor's, which just goes to show how disbalanced the skill-to-fame ratio is in MMA fights.
10 seconds! Oh, he's hurt! Could he finish him here? Conor McGregor is a UFC interim featherweight champion!
In boxing, however, Mike Tyson, a legend, has had 58 total fights. 58 recorded matches is nothing short of a miracle in MMA fighting. With regard to skill of fighters, this round goes to boxing. The size of the gloves. Well, the glove size matters for safety, to protect the hands as well as the face from injury. They reduce the chances of cosmetic injuries, including cuts and bruises, so they have to be worn by the fighters in the match. However, there are different types of gloves for different types of games. In MMA, smaller gloves are used while the gloves used for boxing are relatively bigger. What happens is that the larger boxing gloves slow down the velocity of the punches and widely spread the blow of the impact due to their size. And it's widely believed by sports scientists that the bigger the glove, the more are the chances of a concussion or a serious injury. The added padding in the gloves also becomes a reason for extra damage for the fighters because they become heavier and more impactful. If a person is repeatedly hit by these gloves, there's a high risk of leading to brain and head trauma. Boxing is unidimensional while MMA is multidisciplinary. Another reason for boxing being more dangerous than MMA sports is that it's a unidimensional discipline. Boxers usually strike each other solely on the body and the head, and there are no extended periods of laying low or grappling the opponent by wrestling them to the ground. When boxers start a match, they just continually try to hit each other, and there's a greater chance that the fighters will take a blow to the head, which is very dangerous. Whereas in MMA games, the fighters can spend or kill some time by clinging or grappling along the octagon cage. In these games, there's more wrestling, and the fighters use their legs to kick, whether they're leg kicks or front kicks. The chances of serious injury after this are lower compared to the ones caused by boxing. The multidisciplinary nature of mixed martial arts makes it less likely that fighters are going to experience long-lasting injuries to the head and body. If an MMA fighter is under fire from punches, they can change the course of the fight by taking it to the ground or sidelines. No such thing can happen during a boxing match because it's against the set of rules of the sport. So in conclusion, boxing is definitely a more dangerous sport than MMA, but that does not mean that one of them is better than the other. It also doesn't mean you don't need as much skill or hard work to excel in MMA as you would need in boxing. There isn't a superior among them. There are numerous benefits of learning and pursuing both sports as long as one takes proper training. What is important is that new players or fighters in combat sports are aware of the dangers and take proper measures to minimize the chances of severe injury. So that was all about today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, and in the comments section, let us know what one of the two sports you prefer more. Take care, and we'll see you in our next video. Peace.